Let's watch that again. This truck has been blown over by tornado-like winds. These extreme skiers are something, man. Unlike traditional alpine skiing that takes place on groomed slopes, extreme skiing occurs in natural, rugged settings. I mean, rugged doesn't even do it justice. Check this out. Did anyone else watch this and wonder how this guy stayed so calm? I feel like I would have just started crying. That's what you would have heard. Whimpers. This reported Dogman clip gets a little creepier if you can hear the conversation in the background. Let me translate. One guy off camera says, "Is that it, Tori? Right there?" Tori replies, "Yeah, that's the one that stays under the train tracks." Another commenter said, "I work for a private company that helps with encounters, mostly cryptid, but some other paranormal encounters. And if I'm being honest, if y'all knew what was in the forest, you'd never so much as take the trash out at night." The following image reportedly comes from a woman who was on her daily jog along an old logging road. Posted online in September of this year, as she made her way down the road, something out of the corner of her eye caught her attention. It looked like a figure was wedged between a tree. She couldn't make out what it was, but it definitely seemed off. As she got a little closer, she saw it. A dark figure attempting to blend in between the trees. It was doing a decent job of camouflaging itself, especially considering it was foggy, but it still stood out enough, like a broad-shouldered furry blob. Terrified and unsure of what to do, she should probably run, but no, she whips out her phone and snaps a picture, which we thank her for. The figure, dark in color and with a face that seemed somewhat human-like, appeared to just be watching her. At first, I wasn't sure if I was looking at the back of its head or the front, so the front of its face looked slightly lighter compared to the top and the rest of its body. Has a more grayish tint. Commenters have claimed that if you look closely you can make out eyes, but I can't see those. Of course, this photo isn't the best quality, but it's definitely something intriguing. And if it is what she thinks it could be, this was a pretty terrifying moment. There's an intriguing video clip circulating supposedly from a church in Africa, which is gaining considerable attention. Posted on Instagram by the account Paranoid Normal, the footage presents a confusing scene at first glance. Even after multiple viewings, the mystery remains. The clip begins with what looks like a flame suddenly appearing from a woman's dress on the right side of the frame. She reacts in panic, clearly startled, and people around her quickly come to her aid. Only moments later, another flame ignites, this time from a man's white shirt. The shock of these unexpected events seems to cause the woman to faint. And now don't be confused because the video actually replays both of these moments in slow motion. Initially, some viewers proposed that these strange flames were a result of faulty cigarette lighters. However, the fact that it happened to two different individuals in such a brief period makes this explanation less convincing. One commenter provided a thought-provoking theory. They threw out that maybe this could have been a staged act intended to increase donations to the church, or for the two to be able to label themselves as anointed. It's been suggested that the man and woman may be actors, orchestrating this miracle to draw more visitors and encourage greater contributions. Seeing something so extraordinary could potentially convince churchgoers of divine intervention, that this place is special, touched, prompting them to be more generous with their donations. That's a pretty interesting theory. I have seen some crazy stuff in church, but I don't know that catching me on fire would have me tithing or putting more into the offering plate. Anyhow, as always, let me know your theories. Speaking of aggressive bears, this common house cat sent one up a tree. Crazy clip here is this man in the hospital says that this figure just randomly showed up at this guy's bedside. Many are saying it's the Grim Reaper. What say you? I've come across this clip a few times, but never found a solid answer. Does anyone know more about this? The Wessex Way monster. This monster has become something of a local legend in certain parts of England. One dark night in late 2007, a closed-circuit traffic camera captured a very strange and unexplainable creature crossing the road. Since the footage surfaced, there have been numerous reports of sightings of the mysterious Wessex Way monster. As you can see in the video, the so-called Wessex Way monster has features that seem both animalistic, but also human. It moves on all fours like an animal, but its hind legs are notably longer than its front, bending at the knees similarly to a human's. So what do we think? Is this some kind of bizarre creature or just an elaborate hoax? When I watch it, my brain immediately takes me to the movements of a deer. But then it kind of looks like a greyhound. I don't know, I could be convinced of either crazy Wessex Way creature or my eyes playing tricks on me. A little different clip here, but it's certainly captured a lot of online attention. Imagine you're scrolling through Facebook and coming across a video, and it's been shared over a few million times. Well, that's exactly the case with a clip posted by a user named Jermaine Ivory. In the video, seemingly out of nowhere, a squirrel appears in the middle of the street. It almost looks as if it materializes from thin air. This quirky moment quickly gained traction, racking up over 1 million views and sparking thousands of comments from curious viewers in the first day. Jermaine, having some fun, labeled the occurrence as a glitch in the matrix, which I know you guys have heard about a lot on this channel. For those unfamiliar, that phrase suggests we could be living in a computer simulation. And every once in a while, some anomaly, like a squirrel magically appearing in the road, gives it away. However, if we stay grounded for a moment, many people think that there's a much simpler explanation. Most likely, it's just a matter of perspective. Perhaps there's a dip or pothole in the road, and the squirrel hopped out of it, giving the impression of it appearing out of thin air. This clip definitely makes you do a double take. Personally, it almost looks like he's pulling himself from a crack in the road, like he's legit squeezing out of something. Alright, let's delve into this fascinating clip from NASA's live feed, taken from the International Space Station. As you watch, a strange and unidentified object makes its way into view. At first, it moves steadily from the right to the left side of the frame. Then, almost as if assessing its surroundings, the object pauses and hovers in place for a noticeable moment. Suddenly, it pulls up and then shoots off to the left at a much faster speed than before. By speeding up the footage and zooming in, you can get a clearer look at this unusual phenomenon. Often, viewers are quick to attribute sightings like these from the International Space Station to common explanations. More often than not, they're space debris or far-off satellites. However, what makes this particular sighting stand out is the object's unpredictable movement. The abrupt changes in direction and speed are what make this so intriguing. Normally, space debris or satellites follow a predictable path and lack the ability to change direction or speed. And this probably goes without saying, but the space debris or satellites, they follow a more predictable path. They don't really have the ability to change direction on a whim. Given these observations, the question remains, what are we really looking at? Officials from NASA declined to comment or give any explanation for this. Nevertheless, it's a good reminder that space holds vast mysteries. Back in September, a veterinary student named Mary Carmen Flores from Peru adopted a sweet Labrador puppy. Funny enough, she named the pup Scott. The two quickly formed a close bond, but unfortunately only got to enjoy a few months together before Scott was tragically found lifeless in Mary Carmen's home. The sudden loss of her healthy dog left Mary Carmen devastated, and she was desperate for an explanation. She didn't have any proof, but she suspected that someone might have intentionally poisoned her beloved pet. Determined to find answers, Mary Carmen began reviewing her CCTV footage. So every day she would pull up the footage and sit on her couch and watch it. But I'll tell you what she found was far from what she expected. One night, Mary Carmen pulled up the footage. It shows she and her friend pulling up to the gate and returning home for the night. But what she saw next blew her mind. A hazy dog-like figure is seen in the bottom part of the video, greeting Mary Carmen and her friend. But here's the thing. This footage that she reviewed was taken only an hour ago. Scott had passed days before. With tears in her eyes, Mary Carmen sprinted outside to try to see if she could see any remnants of Scott in the area. She explained that she believed Scott's spirit had come back to say goodbye to her and her family. She shared the video on TikTok as a tribute to her beloved dog's memory. To this day, Mary Carmen still has no clear explanation for what led to Scott's untimely death. But she is grateful for having captured his final greeting and farewell to her. Around the world, myths and legends tell of tiny humanoid beings that live among us but remain out of sight, hidden in the shadows. There are many names for these creatures: sprites, goblins, pixies, elves, and even leprechauns. In Central and South America, however, these popular mythological beings are known as Duendes. In Central and South American folklore, Duendes are often portrayed as dangerous little creatures who have a particular dislike for children. Central American tales speak of Duendes living inside the walls of children's bedrooms, sneaking out at night to harm or frighten them. In South America, Duendes are known to lure young boys and girls into the forest, causing them to lose their way home. This clip supposedly shows some kids juggling a soccer ball when they experience a little visitor.
Ay, Christopher, ve nada más. Me estás retando.
Sí, pues tú también. Fíjate, el baloncesto cómo se mueve.
Te toca.
Ya, para que veas como un experto lo hace bien.
¿Qué es eso? ¡Ay, qué es eso! ¡Ay, qué es eso! ¡Ay, ay, ay! ¡Ay, ¿Qué fue? ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? ¡Fue maldito! ¡No, no!
This next clip from Rocky Mountain Sasquatch has the potential to send shivers down your spine. This photo was sent in to Rocky Mountain Sasquatch, and I'm going to read it exactly how they reported on it. A massive mysterious creature was caught on a trail cam near Tucson, Arizona. And here are the facts. The camera was set to 10 feet high, angled down into a dry creek bed. As we analyze this intriguing capture, I'll be applying several light filters to it to see if we can bring out any hidden details. But that's not all. We also have a first-hand report from the person who submitted this image. BH, writing on behalf of his friend who owns the trail camera, describes how it was set up on a lease where cattle graze, near a watering hole. And believe it or not, the image appears to show what could be a Bigfoot. Keith, a member of the North Cheyenne Nation from Lame Deer, Montana, shared the story and the image with Rocky Mountain Sasquatch. So, I'm interested in your thoughts on what this creature might be. Can you help uncover the truth behind this incredible sighting? Do we think this is Bigfoot, or is there something else lurking in these Arizona desert nights?